Hi, I'm Tony Fleming, and this is Fleming's Ultimate Garage. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on today's video. Listen, 69 Camaro, I think awesome muscle car. Top it off with a Z-28, and that, my friend, is a very different car. And I have to tell you, in the world of cars that drive well, muscle cars, in fact, is what we're talking about. These cars here have a little special something about them that drive and handle different than any other Camaro. You know, from the fast ratio power steering that you could get on these cars to that high winding 302s like a European V8. You know, it doesn't really make that power down at like 1200, 1500, 1800 RPM. It wants to be wrung out. You know, from the factory, these things were recommended to be redlined at 7,000 RPMs. Take a big block to 7,000 RPMs, it's not built, and you're gonna be hearing some ugly noises that you don't like. That sounds expensive. This one here, I love so much because it's so authentic. I want to spend a few minutes talking about it, and the reason why I'm so excited about this car in particular is because it's an authentic color. It hasn't had the color change to silver or black or red. It hasn't had its original engine blown up and exploded. Its original transmission is still in the car. It has these cool polyglass tires. We're going to walk around. I want to show you all that stuff because if you're in the market for a really cool Camaro, great. Camaro's a great car to get. But if you're in the market for a car that's authentic, that continues to go up in value each year, the Z28s have proven year in and year out, especially the matching number ones, that these are investment grade automobiles, all right? So let's look at this for a second. I think this color is so hot, and in the sunlight it is ridiculous because it's one of the only colors General Motors had with metallic in it. So this is called Olympic Gold, and what I like to do is we like to show some paint quality and things like that. So come on up here for a second. So we'll start with the black stripe because the black stripe's important, how you can read all the letters and details in there. We'll move over here to the Olympic Gold color, right? And still, again, you can read all of that in there. You can see what time it is, right? Those are the things that you need to be looking for when you're buying an expensive car and you're making an investment. The video doesn't lie, it shows you all the details. A couple other things. Right here, instead of just painting the stripes over the paint, what they've done is they've painted this car Olympic Gold, right? Then they went ahead and they wet sanded it, made it nice and smooth. Went ahead and laid down the black stripes, wet sanded them, make sure they were nice and smooth. Then they cleared over the whole top of the car, okay, to hide these stripes underneath the clear. And the reason why you want to do that is so that as you're washing and waxing this car over the years, it's not going to happen the first weekend, but over the years, all these edges would start to tear and become ugly, and then you would get fading and things like that. You don't want all that. By having clear coat over the paint, you can always wax it, buff it, wet sand or whatever, and the paint is actually under the clear. And the only difference between clear paint and this gold paint and the black paint is that clear has no pigment in it. That's the difference. And that way, it doesn't reflect any sun, so you never really see the blemishes in it. So that's why this is so beautifully done. The 302 callouts, awesome. You know, most Camaros did not come with any callouts on the hood. I love the cowl induction air cleaner emblems that we put on a lot of the 69 Camaros, but if you want authentic, this is the only one that called out. I only have a 302 cubic inch engine against the 396 cubic inch engines, but I gotta tell you this, the 302 motor is a screamer. And we're gonna drive down the road. It's not gonna scream while I drive it, it's gonna scream when you drive it. But I'm just gonna let you hear what it sounds like so you get those little chills, maybe show the significant other who's gonna help you make this decision to get this car. I think you both will find out this is a pretty exciting day. All right, anyway, so let's take a peek at some of the other authentic things. We have front and rear spoilers, and you say, well, that's the big deal about front and rear spoilers. You can add front and rear spoilers to anything. You're absolutely right, but this car here is coated with the D80 coat, and it's on the cowl tag, which we're gonna look at in a second, meaning it came from the factory with front and rear spoilers. It came from the factory on that cowl tag as an Olympic Gold car. Finished up here with the Polyglas GT tires. Now listen, these are not as great driving tires as, say, the radial TAs and things like that. But what they do is they make the car very authentic if you want to take it to a show. Okay, let's continue to walk around the car. Now, an important thing about Camaros is fit and finish on the panels. Because they're unibody cars, they tend to sag in the doors and the quarters, especially if they're restored and not done properly. In this case here, this is super tight down here, and this is what you want. You want this to be tight. If you look at most Camaros, it sticks out just a little bit. And the reason why it typically sticks out is somebody's put a new quarter panel on the car, all right? And when they put it on, they didn't fit it down here properly with the door on the car. They typically have the doors off and then they put that on there. We believe, no guarantee, but we believe that this door opens like this for a reason. Because this is an original quarter panel on there. Still has some of the original pinch welds, original stickers here in the door. And sounds great when you close it. Okay, so let's keep walking around for a second. The reason why I like to look at the back of the car is because this is what most people are going to see if they decide to tangle with you. get this for a second. I love this. Look at the size of that emblem. That's a factory emblem, the Z28. It's a call out, and they weren't shy about saying, hey, listen, look what just spanked you. Only 302 cubic inches. Went ahead and wound up like a mad machine down the road and was gone. The fact of the matter is these cars are very light. You'd be surprised at how light they are. All right, some stuff that you do need to see is under here, okay? This is interesting. You see that exhaust system right there? It looks like it was built by a child. Well, the reason it looks like it's built by a child is because it's a chambered exhaust. And with this here, this has the off-road chamber exhaust, which has the headers that would have come in the trunk from the factory, or the dealer would have installed the headers and then installed the chambered exhaust on there for this great sound and a whole lot more power, because where these were handicapped was in the breathing department. They can only make manifolds flow so much, and the factory exhaust had to be at a certain decibel level and things like that. So we throw these high-performance exhaust systems from the factory, right? And these things woke the car completely up, all right? Anyway, if you ever have to use the trunk, it's actually got a great trunk. It's usable. You can throw a couple chairs in here if you want to go to the car shows. It's got the decals in here if you want to leave the trunk up. All of this is finished in here. Look how nicely this is done. You could take this to any local show and not be ashamed. Detailed inside, it's got a spare tire. You say, well, what's the big deal about a spare tire and a jack? Well, let me just tell you, 99% of the cars we get don't have a spare tire or jack, and it's nice to see one installed in this car. And that's kind of the part that I'm getting to about, you know, how well a car is restored. We're going to look at a few things as we walk around. I'm going to point those out, and you'll see the details. The details are what makes one car worth this and another car worth this. All right, let's take a peek at the mother load and what all the noise is about, okay? All right, so here we have some things that'll be obvious to some people that are professionals about these cars. And listen, I don't know everything about every car because it's impossible. And there's experts out there that tell me, hey, Tony, you said that bolt was correct. And in fact, it's not, because it's not date-coded bolt. Well, I'm not really sure if these are date-coded bolts or not, but everything else about the car is really, really done well. So I'll show you the things that I know, and let's look at those. So for instance, like these tower clamps. To me, that says that somebody spent some extra money and time. You may say, well, what's the big deal about tower clamps? Well, you know, they're 10 times the price of a regular band clamp. GM hoses, correct valve covers, the original Winters intake manifold right here with the Winters Foundry stamp on it. Okay, this is not an Edelbrock Performer manifold, and not that that's a bad manifold, but we're talking about cars that are authentic, all right? So here's a big part right here, the cowl tag. The cowl tag says to us this is an X33 coded car. X33 meaning Z28. D80 code right here, front and rear spoilers. Also, the paint code is a 65 with B stripes. So it's Olympic gold with black stripes. 711 code for the interior is black buckets. But everything in here detailed nicely. Now listen, this has power steering on it, which is a really nice feature that we forget to ask about. Not all Z28s came with power steering, but they did come standard with power disc brakes. And this car, again, power disc brakes is here, has the correct decals. Also, it has some stamps on it for PTB, meaning paint, trim, and body. That would have been how the assembly line stamped it on there, that they were completed on that portion of their job. There's a couple small incorrect parts. It's up to you whether you want to change them or not. These horns right here are not correct, but we wanted to make sure that the horns work. They're brand new and they're very nice, but that's up to you. You may want to get Z28 horns. If that's the most we can pick on this car, I think that's a pretty good place to be. Anyway, cowl induction hood with the working cowl induction flapper in there to keep rain and things like that out. And the way that works is that as you give it gas and it gets vacuum, or it's electric operated, sorry, it would open up. Typically you would not floor it in the rain, so that's why that works so well. Cowl induction air cleaner is nice here because it seals right there. You're getting fresh, clean air from the outside and not the hot air from the engine compartment there, all right? The suspension's all detailed. That's the exhaust system that I was telling you about. Battery topper here, just to give it a little more authenticity. Underneath it is a brand new kind of gel style battery versus the old style, so we do that. We put the battery toppers on there because they look so nice, but we like the luxury of having a modern battery, all right? Again, fit and finish on this Camaro. Look at the gaps and how nice and straight everything is up this hood. If Justin could take a second and just look, they're so nice and straight. Everything sits flush, flat, silver wipers, not black ones with red trim. It's just kind of an authentic car. The metal flake in this is awesome. I wish you guys could see this in the sunlight because it is spectacular. Okay, let's take a peek inside for a minute and see where you're gonna spend most of your time and what it might look like in there. Now listen, these Z28s with the gold embroidery in there are not correct. I had those made because they're embroidered in there, not iron on or whatever. I thought they looked really, really nice. This is an original Hurst shifter, comes with 2 handles. One this long style and one the shorter style. You let me know which one you want to put in the car and we'll do that. This is nice here. It's got the console gauges. You may say to yourself, well, what's the big deal about the console gauges? Well, the big deal is this. To switch over and get console gauges, get the tack up here, move the fuel down here, it could be somewhere around $1,800 to $2,000 by the time you're done. This went one step further and then went ahead and put the clock in here, and look, the clock is working. How many 40-year-old plus muscle cars have you seen where the clock is working? Seat belts, console with buckets, seat belts for the rear people. If you've got kids or want to take another couple out, want to go to dinner or whatever, it just looks really nice in here. It's all new too. It's got the real style seat belts in here that work like they're supposed to. This is a hot car, man. I gotta tell you what, driving it is even better. If you're looking at the video going, man, that's really nice looking. That's really nice looking. You can only imagine what wheeling down the road in it is like. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough about all the stuff on this car. How about I fire it up for you so you can hear what it sounds like. We talked about a lot on this car today, but let's just review real quick if we could. This is a real X33 coated car, meaning it started life as a Z28. Awesome, awesome feature to have. The D80 code for the spoilers, the Olympic gold paint coated car. It's a matching numbers engine, matching numbers transmission. It's got 373 posi-traction, 12 bolt in it, which makes it exactly how it should have come from the factory. And I'm having to look a little bit on this sheet that you'd see if you came here on the car because there's so many things. It has the console gauges, it's factory tack, power steering, power disc brakes. It's got the correct wheels on the car. It's even got the Polyglas tires. You say, well, what's the big deal about Polyglas tires? Well, those tires are $1,000. So you just add this stuff up, man. I'm telling you, by the time you bought this car, maybe, and I don't think so, but maybe you could build this car if you found it in some guy's garage and bought it for nothing, restored it yourself and brought it to this level, maybe for the price of this car here. The difference is, it'll take you 2 or 3 years. This one's ready to go. It includes free and closed door-to-door shipping and a 1-year warranty. So I don't know what's to like about that. Call us 301-816-1000. I gotta find a way to get this 69 Z28 in your garage.